So we are talking about the superhero comedy movie Electra Woman and DYNA Girl. This one stars Hannah Hart and Grace Helbig, who are apparently quite big YouTube stars. Although I have to admit I've never heard of them prior to this movie, but I'm guessing they're not the kind of channels I would normally watch. But nonetheless, they are big YouTubers, apparently so. Now this one is actually based on a 1970s TV show that, again, I had never heard of, so I'm not quite sure we ever got it here in the UK. But nonetheless, it's here, been revived in 2016 into a movie which originally was, I believe, shot as a kind of mini-series, but it's also been edited into a movie. And this one is an interesting film because, bear with me now, this film is literally the same plot as the recent Gem and the Holograms movie. So in both of those films, basically, it basically, on this film movie at least, it focuses on these two sort of low-rung kind of superheroes, and they're discovered on YouTube by some kind of viral video that kind of it becomes massive, and they get signed to a big label. In this film, basically, it's obviously a superhero management team, and in Gem and the Holograms is a big record label, and of course fame goes to their head. It eventually kind of splits the group, or splits the partners, until they kind of come together at the end and realise that friendship is forever, and all this kind of like ego stuff just gets in the way. So it is literally the same plot as Gem and the Holograms, which was a massive flop. So I'm surprised that we have another movie which has kind of got the same thing going on here, obviously, but just with the kind of this superhero kind of coat of paint on it. So other influences, I would say, this movie, basically, you can definitely see shades of Mystery Men and also the Little Scene movie specials as well. So it's kind of like a a superhero world, basically, where we have lots of kind of superheroes that are pretty useless most of the time. This is not your Marvel or your DC heroes. So it is kind of a funny parody of the kind of superhero genre. But I would say this is like a film made by non-superhero fans about what they think the superhero genre is like. That's the impression that I get from this movie. So basically, if you have someone who's purely knowledge of superheroes, is that what they've seen kind of on the big tentpole movies, and they kind of made a film, and that's what they think, the kind of the culture is like, that is the impression that I get with these films. Unlike, your kind of something like Super, which is another one by James Gunn, which dealt with a kind of a similar sort of thing. That was come from a more respectful place. Not that this film isn't respectful, basically, but it's definitely aimed at a kind of a more casual fan, certainly a younger fan. I will say there are a couple of funny moments there. There are a couple of, it's a comedy, so there's quite a few gags here and there. Some work, some don't. There are a few kind of funny moments. My favourite character is this kind of this Q-type inventor who basically makes all the gadgets for the girls, and he's kind of played like really dry. There's a couple of funny moments of him, particularly involving cans of soup, which I thought was quite good. There are a few moments, but to me the issue with this film is that the plot is so redundant. The plot is so just kind of formulaic and by the numbers, and really just seems to just go through the motions. I mean, even some plot points. I mean, the thing with this film, the setup is that there's all these kind of superheroes and there's no supervillains because they were all defeated. And all of a sudden, we get this kind of like this superwoman, this evil kind of villain that sort of turns up with superpowers, and it's just kind of like we can't see who she is, first of all. I thought, okay, what's the only other female that we've seen in the cast so far? So clearly, there's no surprises who it ends up being. It's stuff like that. It's very, very formulaic in regards to, its storytelling. There are a couple of little smatterings of action scenes. I did quite like, there's like a bank heist action scene, which the perpetrators are wearing these kind of like baby masks, so I thought that was quite a fun scene. So there are a couple of quite, some sort of fun action scenes. I'd say it's fairly slickly, produced, and there are some kind of swipes at kind of popular culture, certainly sort of social media culture and things like that, and obviously certain trends that we have seen in the kind of the superhero tropes to me. But like I said, this is definitely not a superhero film for superhero fans. This is more of a casual fan, someone who maybe watches these people on YouTube and has a kind of a passing interest, who'll go and see the Avengers film and stuff like that, but will kind of will laugh at this kind of some of the tropes here. So if you are a serious comic book fan, I don't think you'll be a big fan of this movie. But it is kind of fun. It is still kind of fun at elements, and there are a couple of okay, kind of like well-produced scenes and some reasonable effects, even though it's kind of, you know, played for laughs for the most part. And I think even though it's all the characters are very cliche and typical, and some deliberately so, but others I feel are meant to be, like the two leads, for example, they're kind of cliche, but certainly DYNA Girl, at least, I think is kind of quite fun. And so overall, I will give this movie probably a bang on average, 5 out of 10. It's not bad. It's worth a look if you like this kind of thing. Anyway, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.